The unlikely ambassadors. The vast expanse of space had never felt so claustrophobic to Captain Sarah Chen as she maneuvered the Earth ship Curiosity through the dazzling, crystalline structures of Centauri Prime's orbital dockyards. Sweat beaded on her brow, not from the exertion of piloting. The ship's eye handled most of that, but from the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. As humanity's first official ambassador to the Galactic Confederation, Sarah knew that every move, every word, every gesture would be scrutinized. The fate of Earth's acceptance into the interstellar community hung in the balance. She glanced at her co-pilot and best friend, Dr. Alejandro Alex Rodriguez, who offered a reassuring nod. Centauri control to Earth ship Curiosity. A melodious, multi-tone voice chimed through the comm system. Please proceed to Docking Bay Epsilon 7. Welcome to the heart of the Galactic Confederation. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself. Acknowledged, Centauri control. Proceeding to Epsilon 7. As the Curiosity glided into the cavernous docking bay, Sarah and Alex got their first in-person glimpse of the incredible diversity of the Galactic Confederation. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions bustled about, some floating, some crawling, some moving in ways that defied easy description. It's like a sci-fi fever dream, Alex murmured, his dark eyes wide with wonder. A xenobiologist by training, this was the moment he'd been waiting for his entire life. Look at that one. Is it made of living crystal? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Alex's enthusiasm was infectious, and for a moment, it pushed back the anxiety that had been gnawing at her since they left Earth orbit. Focus, Alex. Remember the briefing. We're here as diplomats first, scientists second. The ship settled into its berth with a gentle thud, and Sarah began the shutdown sequence. As the Curiosity's systems went quiet, the reality of their situation came rushing back. They were about to step out onto an alien world, representing all of humanity to a galactic civilization that had been observing Earth for centuries. A chime sounded, indicating that the docking tube had successfully connected to the Curiosity's airlock. Sarah stood, smoothing out her midnight blue uniform adorned with the United Earth Government insignia, a stylized globe embraced by laurel leaves. She turned to Alex, who was already on his feet, practically vibrating with excitement. Ready to make history, Dr. Rodriguez? She asked, allowing a hint of their usual banter to creep into her voice. Alex grinned, running a hand through his unruly curls. Born ready, Captain Chen. Let's go charm some aliens. As they approached the airlock, Sarah's mind raced through the countless hours of diplomatic training they'd undergone. The Galactic Confederation had made contact with Earth just 5 years ago, revealing that they had been monitoring humanity's development for centuries. The news had sent shockwaves through human society, but the initial panic had given way to a cautious optimism. Now, after years of preparation and negotiation, Earth was on the cusp of joining the interstellar community. The airlock hissed open, revealing a reception committee of beings so diverse it made Sarah's head spin. At the forefront stood a tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin and 4 arms. This, Sarah knew from her briefings, was Ambassador Xylix of the Aetheri, one of the founding races of the Galactic Confederation. Greetings, representatives of Earth, Xylix said, their voice a harmonious blend of tones that seemed to resonate in Sarah's very bones. We welcome you to Centauri Prime, the seat of the Galactic Confederation. Sarah stepped forward, bowing deeply as she had been instructed. Ambassador Xylix, on behalf of the United Earth Government and all of humanity, we thank you for your gracious welcome. I am Captain Sarah Chen, and this is Dr. Alejandro Rodriguez. We come in peace and with great hope for a prosperous future together. Xylix's large, multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with an emotion Sarah couldn't quite place. Was it curiosity? Amusement? Disdain? The alien's face was so unlike anything human, it was hard to read. Come, Xylix said, gesturing with one of their 4 arms. The council awaits. They are eager to meet the representatives of the species that has caused such a stir in our orderly galaxy. As they followed Xylix through the sprawling corridors of the space station, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to that statement than simple diplomatic pleasantry. The way some of the aliens they passed looked at them, with a mixture of fascination and what seemed almost like fear, only heightened her unease. Alex, for his part, was in xenobiologist heaven. His eyes darted from one alien to another, and Sarah could practically hear the scientific observations bubbling up inside him. She gave him a gentle nudge, reminding him to maintain his diplomatic composure. They entered a vast chamber, its ceiling so high it seemed to disappear into mist. At its center was a circular platform surrounded by tiered seating, each tier occupied by beings more fantastical than the last. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she realized they were standing before the full Galactic Council. A being that seemed to be composed entirely of shimmering energy floated down to their level. When it spoke, it was not with sound, but with thoughts that materialized directly in Sarah and Alex's minds. Humans of Earth, the thought voice resonated. I am High Counselor Luminara of the Galactic Confederation. Your arrival here marks a significant moment in our shared cosmic history. For millennia, we have watched your species with great interest, and not a small amount of concern. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was not the warm welcome she had hoped for. Luminara continued, you stand before us as representatives of a species that has demonstrated both remarkable potential and terrifying destructiveness, a species that has reached for the stars while still mired in conflict, a species that has created beauty and horror in equal measure. The chamber fell silent, the weight of countless alien gazes pressing down on Sarah and Alex. Sarah swallowed hard, knowing that her next words could shape the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. High Counselor Luminara, esteemed members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice steady despite the hammering of her heart. We stand before you not as perfect beings, but as a young species eager to learn, to grow, and to contribute to the greater galactic community. Yes, we have made mistakes. Yes, we have struggled with conflict. But it is through these struggles that we have learned the value of peace, of cooperation, of reaching beyond ourselves. She paused, looking around the chamber, meeting as many alien gazes as she could. We come to you with open hands and open minds, ready to share our unique perspective, our creativity, our determination to overcome obstacles. We ask not for perfection, but for the chance to prove ourselves as worthy members of this grand cosmic tapestry. A murmur rippled through the assembled aliens, whether of approval or dissent. Sarah couldn't tell. Alex stepped forward, adding his voice to hers. In our brief time here, he said, gesturing to the incredible diversity of life forms around them, we have seen wonders beyond our wildest imaginations. Each of you represents a unique path of evolution, a unique way of thinking and being. We humans may be newcomers to this galactic stage, but we bring with us a burning curiosity, a drive to understand and connect with all forms of life. We don't just want to join your confederation. We want to contribute to it, to help it grow and thrive in ways you might not have imagined. High Counselor Luminara's energy form pulsed, and Sarah got the distinct impression of thoughtful consideration. Your words are passionate, humans, and not without merit. But words alone are not enough. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and the Confederation must be cautious in who it embraces. You will be tested, challenged in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Only then will we determine if humanity is truly ready to join our ranks. Sarah and Alex exchanged glances. This was not quite how they had expected this meeting to go, but they both recognized the opportunity hidden within the challenge. We accept your challenge, High Counselor, Sarah said, her voice ringing with determination. Whatever tests you have for us, we will face them with courage, ingenuity, and the unbreakable spirit that has carried humanity from our first steps on Earth to this moment among the stars. As the council chamber erupted into a cacophony of alien voices and thought projections, Sarah and Alex stood tall, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store for them. They had come as ambassadors, but now they found themselves as champions for all of humanity, about to embark on the greatest adventure in Earth's history. Little did they know that the tests awaiting them would not only challenge their own abilities, but would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Confederation itself. First contact gone wrong. The days following their arrival on Centauri Prime were a whirlwind of activity for Sarah and Alex. They were subjected to a battery of tests, physical, mental, and ethical, that pushed them to their limits. But it was the cultural exchange sessions that proved most challenging, as they struggled to navigate the complex web of alien customs and taboos. On the fifth day, as they sat in their assigned quarters reviewing xenobiological data, an urgent message came through on their comm devices. Report to Docking Bay Theta 9 immediately. The multi-tone voice of their ethereal liaison chimed. A situation has arisen that requires your unique perspective. Sarah and Alex exchanged worried glances. That doesn't sound good, Alex muttered as they hurried through the station's winding corridors. They arrived at Theta 9 to find it in chaos. Aliens of various species were scurrying about in what appeared to be barely controlled panic. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Xylix, their iridescent skin pulsing with agitated colors. "Ah, humans," Xylix said as they approached, a note of relief in their harmonious voice. "We face a most distressing situation. A ship has arrived, carrying beings from a previously unknown species. They call themselves the Vexeri." "I don't understand," Sarah said, confusion evident on her face. "First contact scenarios are hardly unusual for the Confederation, are they?" Xylix's colors shifted to a deep, troubled blue. "This is no ordinary first contact, Captain Chen. The Vexeri ship is heavily damaged, and its crew is aggressive. They demand assistance, yet they refuse to power down their weapons. We've been unable to establish meaningful communication." Alex's eyes widened. "And you want us to help? We're the newcomers here. Surely there are more experienced diplomats." "You misunderstand, Dr. Rodriguez," Xylix interrupted. "We don't want you to negotiate. We want you to relate." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as understanding dawned. "You think we can understand them because we're what? Aggressive? Paranoid?" Xylix had the grace to look uncomfortable, their colors swirling in a complex pattern. "Your species has a unique history of conflict and resolution. You understand the mindset of beings who feel threatened, who lash out in fear and anger. We need that understanding now." For a moment, Sarah felt a flash of indignation. But as she looked around at the frightened aliens, she realized that Xylix's words, however undiplomatic, held a kernel of truth. Humanity's turbulent history, which had so concerned the Galactic Council, might now prove to be an asset. "All right," she said, squaring her shoulders. "We'll do what we can. But we'll need all the information you have on the situation." As Xylix briefed them, a plan began to form in Sarah's mind. She turned to Alex, who nodded, already on the same wavelength. "We're going to need a ship," Sarah said. "Something small, maneuverable, and preferably not too alien-looking." Xylix's colors pulsed with surprise. "You intend to approach them directly. That is extremely dangerous. The Vexeri ship's weapons are still active. Sometimes the best way to show you're not a threat is to make yourself vulnerable," Alex explained. "It's a human thing." After some argument, Xylix reluctantly agreed to their plan. Soon, Sarah and Alex found themselves aboard a small diplomatic shuttle, approaching the battered Vexeri vessel. As they drew closer, they got their first look at the mysterious aliens through the view screen. The Vexeri ship was a hodgepodge of metals and alloys. It tall, scared, and pitted. It looked less like a spaceship and more like a fortress that had somehow been launched into the void. Protruding from its surface were what could only be described as tentacles, not organic, but mechanical appendages that writhed and twisted, tracking their approach. "Looks like they've been through hell," Alex murmured, his xenobiologist's mind already racing with theories. Sarah nodded grimly. And they're expecting more of the same from us. Okay, let's do this. She opened a communication channel. Vexari vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth, approaching in a peaceful capacity. We are unarmed and here to offer assistance. Please respond. For a long moment, there was only static. Then, a harsh, grating voice cut through the silence. Earth vessel, you claim peace, yet you align with the Confederation. Why should we trust you? Sarah took a deep breath. Because we're not part of the Confederation. Not yet. We're newcomers, just like you. And we understand what it's like to feel alone and threatened in a strange place. Another pause, this one filled with tension so thick it felt like a physical presence in the shuttle's cockpit. Prove it, the Vexari voice growled. Dock with us. Come aboard. Then we will see if your words of peace are more than air. Alex shot Sarah a worried look. This wasn't part of the plan. Boarding an unknown, potentially hostile vessel went against every protocol they'd been taught, but Sarah recognized the challenge for what it was. A test, not unlike those the Confederation had been subjecting them to. Understood, Vexari vessel. We're beginning docking procedures now. As they maneuvered to connect with the alien ship, Alex leaned in close. Sarah, are you sure about this? We have no idea what we're walking into. Sarah gave him a grim smile. No, we don't. But sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Besides, isn't this why we came out here? To meet new life, to push boundaries. I was thinking more along the lines of peaceful cultural exchanges, not potential hostage situations. Alex grumbled, but there was a glint of excitement in his eyes that belied his words. The docking procedure was tense, the Vexari ship's mechanical tentacles helping to guide their shuttle into place with unsettling precision. As the airlock cycled, Sarah and Alex stood ready, unarmed as promised, but alert for any sign of treachery. The inner door slid open with a hiss, revealing a dimly lit, organic-looking corridor. And there, waiting for them, were the Vexari. They were not at all what Sarah and Alex had expected. Where they had imagined armored, warrior-like beings, they instead saw creatures that looked almost fragile. The Vexari were tall and slender, with translucent skin through which pulsed luminescent fluids. Their large, compound eyes regarded the humans with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. I am Zixtal, leader of this vessel, one of the Vexari said, its voice much softer now that it wasn't distorted by the comm system. You have shown great courage in coming here. Now, tell us truthfully, why have you really come? Sarah stepped forward, her hands open in a universal gesture of peace. We've come to help, Zixtal. Your ship is damaged. Your people are in distress. The Confederation wants to assist you, but they don't understand your fear. We do. Humanity has been where you are, alone, facing an unknown and potentially hostile universe. Zixtal's compound eyes flickered, the facets reflecting the dim light. And how do we know this is not a trap? That you are not simply the soft face of Confederation treachery? It was Alex who answered, surprising even Sarah with his vehemence. Because we've spent the last week being poked, prodded, and judged by the Confederation ourselves. They're not sure they trust us either. But right now, none of that matters. You need help, and we're offering it, no strings attached. There was a long moment of silence as Zixtal conferred with the other Vexari in a series of clicks and whistles. Finally, the alien leader turned back to the humans. Very well. We will. Trust for now. Our ship's core is destabilizing. Without aid, it will go critical within hours. Sarah nodded, already reaching for her comm device. I'll contact Centauri Control. Let them know it's safe to send over an engineering team. No. Zixtal's cry was sharp, fearful. No Confederation personnel on our ship. Only you. Sarah and Alex exchanged glances. They were trained pilots and diplomats, not engineers. The fate of the Vexari. and potentially everyone on Centauri Prime if the ship's core exploded, now rested in their hands. "Okay," Sarah said, her mind racing. "Show us to your engine room. We'll figure this out together." As they followed the Vexari deeper into the ship, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they had just stepped onto a path that would change not only their own lives, but the course of human history and perhaps the future of the entire galaxy. What they would find in the heart of the Vexari ship, and the chain of events it would set in motion, was beyond anything they could have imagined. The true test, for humanity, for the Vexari, and for the Galactic Confederation itself, was only just beginning. The Galactic Crisis. The Vexari engine room was a marvel of biomechanical engineering, a pulsating heart of technology that seemed to breathe and move with a life of its own. But right now, that heart was in cardiac arrest. Sparks flew from exposed conduits, and an ominous rumble permeated the air. Sarah and Alex stood before the central control panel, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of fluctuating energy readouts. Zixtal hovered anxiously nearby, along with a handful of Vexari engineers who watched the humans with a mixture of hope and skepticism. "Okay," Sarah muttered, her eyes darting over the alien controls. "This is not like anything I've ever seen before." Alex nodded grimly. "It's like their entire ship is one big living organism, fascinating from a biological standpoint, but it makes diagnosing the problem a lot more complicated." A sudden surge of energy caused the deck to shudder beneath their feet. Zixtal's translucent skin pulsed with alarm. "The core grows more unstable by the moment. If we cannot stabilize it soon, we must abandon ship and hope the Confederation will grant us mercy." Sarah squared her shoulders, a determined glint in her eye. "That's not going to happen. Alex, you're the scientist here. Any ideas?" Alex ran a hand through his curly hair, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The problem seems to be an imbalance in the energy flow. It's like an autoimmune response. The ship is attacking itself." "Can we reroute the energy?" Sarah asked, already reaching for what looked like a control interface. "Wait." Zixtal's cry came just as Sarah's hand touched the panel. A jolt of energy surged through her, and she stumbled back, her arm tingling. Alex caught her, his face itched with concern. "Sarah, are you all right?" But Sarah wasn't listening. Her eyes had gone wide, unfocused, as if seeing something beyond the confines of the ship. I can feel it," she whispered. "The ship, it's alive, and it's in pain." Zixtal moved closer, its compound eyes flickering with a new intensity. You have bonded with the ship's consciousness. This is unprecedented. Only Vexari have ever been able to achieve such a connection." Sarah blinked, trying to process the flood of alien sensations coursing through her mind. "It's not just in pain," she said slowly. "It's afraid. You're all afraid. You're running from something." A heavy silence fell over the engine room. The Vexari engineers exchanged uneasy glances, and even Zixtal seemed to shrink in on itself. "You are correct, human," Zixtal said, its voice barely above a whisper. "We fled our home system, pursued by a threat beyond imagining. We had hoped to find sanctuary with the Galactic Confederation, but our weapons and our fear made us appear as aggressors." Alex's scientific curiosity warred with his growing alarm. What kind of threat could be so terrible that it would drag your entire species to flee? Before Zixtal could answer, another violent tremor shook the ship. Sarah gasped, clutching her head as if in pain. "We don't have time for explanations now," she gritted out. "This ship is going to tear itself apart if we don't do something." With newfound purpose, Sarah strode back to the control panel. This time, when she touched it, there was no shock, only a sense of deep connection. Her hands moved over the alien controls with a surety that seemed to surprise even the Vexari. "The ship's trying to protect itself," Sarah explained as she worked, her voice taking on an odd, multi-toned quality. "But in doing so, it's causing more damage. We need to. There. With a final gesture, Sarah activated a sequence of commands. The rumbling subsided, and the flickering lights steadied. A collective sigh of relief rippled through the engine room. Incredible, Zixtal breathed. You've stabilized the core. But how? Sarah stepped back from the panel, blinking as if coming out of a trance. I'm not entirely sure, she admitted. It was like I could feel what the ship needed, and my body just knew how to make it happen. Alex was already scanning her with a medical tricorder. Your brainwave patterns are off the charts, he murmured. Whatever just happened, it's changed you on a neurological level. Before they could discuss the implications further, a priority alert chimed on their comm devices. Ambassador Zolix's agitated voice filled the engine room. Humans, you must return to Centauri Prime immediately. A situation has developed, one that may be connected to your new Vexari friends. Sarah and Alex exchanged worried glances. What's going on, Ambassador? Sarah asked. Long-range sensors have detected a massive anomaly entering Confederation space, Zylix replied, their voice tight with barely controlled panic. It defies all known laws of physics, and it's heading straight for us. A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she saw the fear in the Vexari's eyes. It followed us, Zixtal whispered. The Devourer has found us. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Vexari ship, now stable thanks to Sarah's intervention, was towed into one of Centauri Prime's massive hangar bays. Sarah and Alex found themselves in the heart of Confederation Central Command, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching anomaly. High Counselor Luminara's energy form pulsed with agitation as they addressed the assembled alien leaders. The entity approaching our space is like nothing we have ever encountered. It consumes energy on a scale that defies comprehension. Already, it has destabilized the orbits of 2 outer system planets. The Devourer, Zixtal intoned, its voice heavy with dread. It consumed our home system, forcing us to flee. We had hoped. We had prayed it would not follow. The chamber erupted into chaos, alien voices rising in fear and anger. Accusations flew. The Vexari had led this catastrophe to Confederation space. They should be cast out, left to face the Devourer alone. Enough. Sarah's voice cut through the cacophony, amplified by the chamber's acoustics. All eyes turned to the human captain. This is bigger than the Vexari, bigger than any one species. If this Devourer is as powerful as they say, it's a threat to all of us. We need to work together if we're going to have any chance of stopping it. Alex stepped forward, adding his voice to Sarah's. Captain Chen is right. And I think we might have an advantage we didn't know about before. He turned to Sarah, his eyes alight with a mixture of scientific excitement and concern. Your connection to the Vexari ship, it might be the key to understanding this entity, maybe even communicating with it. High Counselor Luminara's energy form shimmered with interest. Explain, Dr. Rodriguez. As Alex outlined his theory, that Sarah's unique neurological connection might allow for a form of communication with the energy-based entity. Sarah felt a weight settling on her shoulders. She knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that she was about to volunteer for the most dangerous mission of her life. I'll do it, she said, cutting through the discussion. If there's a chance I can make contact with this thing, understand its motivations, maybe even reason with it, I have to try. The room fell silent, the weight of the moment palpable. It was Zixtal who broke the silence, stepping forward to stand beside Sarah. You will not go alone, the Vexari leader said. Our ship, our technology. It is at your disposal. We brought this threat to your doorstep. We will help you face it. One by one, representatives from other alien races stepped forward, offering resources, technology, and support. Even Zylix, who had been so dismissive of humanity's potential, inclined their head in a gesture of respect. Very well, High Counselor Luminara said, their thought voice resonating with a mix of hope and trepidation. Let it be known that on this day, in the face of an unprecedented threat, The Galactic Confederation stands united. And at the forefront of our defense, humanity. As the chamber burst into a flurry of activity, plans being made, ships being prepared, Sarah caught Alex's eye. Her best friend and colleague gave her a nod of understanding and support. They both knew that the real challenge was just beginning. In a matter of hours, they would be launching into the unknown, facing an entity of unimaginable power, the fate of not just humanity, but the entire Galactic Confederation, hung in the balance. And at the center of it all was Sarah Chen, diplomat, explorer, and now, possibly, the galaxy's last hope. The Devourer was coming, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Humanity's ingenious solution. The Vexeri ship, newly christened as the Harmony in a gesture of unity, hung in space at the edge of the Centauri system. Its biomechanical hull gleamed with an otherworldly light, enhanced by the best technology the Galactic Confederation had to offer. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen stood before the main view screen, her face illuminated by the swirling chaos of the approaching anomaly. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension that thrummed through the ship. Dr. Alejandro Rodriguez, hunched over a console bristling with both Vexeri and Confederation tech, looked up. "The Devourer is maintaining its course. At current speed, it'll reach the outer planets in less than 6 hours." Sarah nodded grimly. "Zixtal, how are we looking on the neural interface?" The Vexeri leader's translucent skin pulsed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "The modifications are complete, Captain Chen. But I must warn you again. This level of integration between a non-Vexeri consciousness and our ship's systems is unprecedented. The risk to your mind is significant." "Noted," Sarah said, her determination unwavering. "But it's a risk we have to take. Alex, start the interface sequence." As Alex's fingers flew over the controls, Sarah settled into the captain's chair, a biomechanical marvel that looked more like a cocoon than a seat. Tendrils of light began to weave around her, connecting her nervous system directly to the ship's core. Sarah gasped as her consciousness expanded, merging with the Harmony systems. It was like nothing she had ever experienced. She could feel the pulse of the engines, the whisper of solar wind against the hull, the very heartbeat of the ship itself. "Neural integration stable," Alex reported, his voice sounding distant to Sarah's altered perceptions. "Sarah, can you hear me?" "I hear you," Sarah replied, her voice overlaid with harmonics that echoed the ship's systems. "It's incredible. I can sense everything." Zixtal moved closer, its compound eyes flickering with awe. "Captain, focus your thoughts on the anomaly. Perhaps now we can truly understand what we face." Sarah turned her expanded awareness toward the looming threat. As she did, a wave of something washed over her. It wasn't quite emotion, wasn't quite thought, but a primal force that defied easy categorization. "It's hungry," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "So hungry, but not malevolent. It doesn't even understand the concept of life as we know it. It just consumes." Alex leaned in, his scientific curiosity warring with his concern for his friend. "Can you communicate with it, Sarah? Make it understand what it's doing?" Sarah's brow furrowed in concentration. "I'm trying, but it's like trying to explain color to a being that can only perceive in black and white. Our concepts, our very existence, are so alien to it." Suddenly, Sarah's body went rigid, her eyes flying open wide. "It's noticed us," she gasped. "It's coming." The view screen flared with blinding light as the Devourer accelerated, crossing the vast distance to the Harmony in a matter of moments. The ship shuddered under the strain of the entity's approach. "Evasive maneuvers," Alex shouted, but it was unnecessary. The Harmony, guided by Sarah's linked consciousness, was already moving, dancing through space with a grace that defied its size. "We can't outrun it forever," Zixtal said, its voice tight with fear. and our weapons are useless against something of this magnitude. As the Harmony wove through the void, barely staying ahead of the Devourer's grasp, Sarah's mind raced. There had to be a solution, a way to stop this cosmic force without destroying it or sacrificing themselves. And then, in a flash of insight born from the melding of human intuition and alien technology, she had it. "Alex," Sarah called out, her voice resonating with newfound purpose. "The Devourer feeds on energy, right? What if we could give it so much energy that it becomes satiated?" Alex's eyes widened as he caught on to her train of thought. Like overfeeding a predator so it becomes sluggish and sleeps. But Sarah, where would we get that much energy? "From the ship," Sarah said, her decision already made. "From me." Before anyone could object, Sarah delved deeper into the neural interface, pushing it beyond its intended limits. She became one with the Harmony in a way no being ever had before, accessing reserves of power that even the Vexari didn't know existed. "Sarah, no." Alex cried out, realizing what she intended. "The feedback could kill you." But Sarah was beyond hearing now. Her consciousness, amplified by the ship's systems, reached out to the Devourer. And then, in a blinding surge of energy, she opened the floodgates. The Harmony blazed like a newborn star, pouring out energy on a scale that dwarfed entire solar systems. The Devourer, drawn by this unprecedented feast, enveloped the ship completely. For long, tense moments, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the energy output began to diminish. The Devourer's frantic consumption slowed, then stopped altogether. It's working," Zixtal breathed in disbelief. "The entity is becoming dormant." As the last of the excess energy dissipated, the Devourer drifted away from the Harmony, moving slowly and erratically like a beast overstuffed after a great meal. On the bridge, Sarah slumped in the captain's chair, the neural interface retracting. Alex was at her side, in an instant, medical scanner in hand. Sarah, can you hear me?" Slowly, Sarah's eyes fluttered open. A weak smile played across her lips. "Did it work?" she mumbled. Alex laughed, relief evident in his voice. "It worked. You did it, Sarah. You saved us all." As Sarah struggled to sit up, aided by Alex and Zixtal, the comm system crackled to life. High Counselor Luminara's thought voice filled the bridge, tinged with awe and respect. "Captain Chen, Dr. Rodriguez, honored Vexari allies, you have accomplished the impossible. The threat has been neutralized, and the Galactic Confederation stands in your debt. Return to Centauri Prime at once. There is much to discuss about the future, your future, humanity's future, and the future of our entire galactic community." As the Harmony turned back toward Centauri Prime, its corridors buzzing with excitement and relief, Sarah exchanged a look with Alex. They both knew that this was more than just a victory over a cosmic threat. It was a turning point for humanity. In the span of a few days, they had gone from uncertain newcomers to saviors of the galaxy. They had shown not just their bravery and ingenuity, but their capacity for understanding, empathy, and self-sacrifice. The Galactic Confederation had called humans savages. Now they would have to recognize them as equals, perhaps even as leaders in a new era of galactic cooperation. As Centauri Prime grew larger in the view screen, Sarah knew that the real work was just beginning. Humanity's place in the stars was secure. But the challenge of living up to this new responsibility loomed large. But as she looked around at the diverse crew of the Harmony, human, Vexari, and representatives from a dozen other species, all working together in the wake of their shared triumph, Sarah felt a surge of hope. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. And that, she realized, was humanity's greatest strength of all. A new era of cooperation. The Great Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with an energy unlike anything in its long history. Representatives from every member species packed the tiered seating, their attention focused on the central platform where High Counselor Luminara's energy form pulsed with anticipation. At the foot of the platform stood Captain Sarah Chen and Dr. Alejandro Rodriguez, still wearing their Earth uniforms, now adorned with the newly minted insignia of the Galactic Confederation. Beside them, Zixtal represented the Vexari, their translucent skin shimmering with barely contained excitement. Esteemed members of the Confederation, Luminara's thought voice resonated through the chamber. We stand at a crossroads in our shared history. The threat of the devourer has been neutralized, thanks to the bravery, ingenuity, and sacrifice of those before you. A ripple of agreement passed through the assembled aliens. Even those who had been most skeptical of humanity's inclusion now looked upon Sarah and Alex with newfound respect. But more than that, Luminara continued, this crisis has shown us the power of unity, of combining our diverse strengths and perspectives. It is with this in mind that I propose a bold new direction for our Confederation. Sarah felt a flutter of anticipation in her chest. This was the moment they had been building towards since their return from the mission. I nominate Captain Sarah Chen of Earth to lead a new initiative, the Galactic Exploration and Diplomatic Corps. This organization will be tasked with seeking out new life, new civilizations, and fostering understanding and cooperation across the cosmos. A murmur of surprise and excitement rippled through the chamber. Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and steady as she addressed the assembly. Members of the Confederation, I am honored by this nomination. The confrontation with the devourer taught us all a valuable lesson, that there are wonders and dangers in this universe beyond our current understanding. But it also showed us that when we work together, combining the unique strengths of each of our species, we are capable of overcoming any challenge. She gestured to Alex and Zixtal. Humanity is young in the galactic community, but we bring with us a drive to explore, to understand, and to connect. We don't seek to lead alone, but to work alongside all of you, learning from your wisdom and experience, while offering our own unique perspective. Alex stepped up beside her. As a scientist, I've seen firsthand the incredible advancements we can make when we combine our knowledge. The neural interface technology that allowed us to communicate with the devourer is just the beginning. Imagine what we could achieve if we applied that spirit of cooperation to all our endeavors. Zixtal moved forward as well, its voice harmonizing with Sarah and Alex's in a symbolic gesture of unity. The Vexari once fled in fear, believing ourselves alone against the terrors of the universe. Now we stand here, proud members of this confederation, ready to face the unknown alongside our new allies. We wholeheartedly support this initiative. High Counselor Luminara's energy form pulsed brightly. You have heard the proposal. Let us put it to a vote. The next few moments were tense as the various representatives communicated their decisions through the Confederation's advanced voting system. Sarah held her breath, acutely aware of the historical significance of this moment. Finally, Luminara spoke again. The vote is conclusive. With an overwhelming majority, the Galactic Exploration and Diplomatic Corps is hereby established, with Captain Sarah Chen as its first director. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of cheers, whistles, and other alien expressions of approval. Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her, pride, excitement, and a profound sense of responsibility. As the noise died down, Luminara continued, "This marks a new chapter for our Confederation. We will no longer be content to simply maintain our borders. We will reach out to the stars, seeking new allies, new knowledge, and new ways to grow and evolve together." The next few hours were a whirlwind of congratulations, planning sessions, and the first steps towards building the new corps. As the formal proceedings wound down, Sarah found a quiet moment with Alex and Zixtal on one of the station's observation decks, gazing out at the star-filled expanse. "So," Alex said, a grin playing on his lips, "not bad for a couple of savages from a backwater planet, huh?" Sarah chuckled, shaking her head. "I still can't quite believe it. When we left Earth, I never imagined that you would save the galaxy and usher in a new era of interstellar cooperation." Zixtal finished, its tone carrying a hint of amusement. Perhaps this is why your species has achieved so much in so little time. You don't let your imaginations limit you. We've got a long road ahead of us, Sarah said, her gaze fixed on the stars. There's so much out there we don't understand. So many potential friends and foes we haven't met yet. Alex nodded, his expression turning serious. And we still don't know if the Devourer was a unique entity or if there are more like it out there. Our work with the neural interface technology is just beginning. Whatever challenges we face, Zixtal said, placing one of its appendages on Sarah's shoulder in a gesture of solidarity, we will face them together. The Vexari owe you a debt we can never fully repay, but we will spend lifetimes trying. Sarah smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the station's environmental controls. No debts between friends, Zixtal. We're all in this together now. As they stood there, looking out at the vast expanse of space, Sarah felt a profound sense of purpose settle over her. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or intimidation, but through courage, ingenuity, and a willingness to extend a hand in friendship. The galaxy had called them savages, but humanity had proven to be so much more. They were explorers, diplomats, problem solvers, and above all, unifiers. In the face of a threat that could have torn the Confederation apart, they had brought everyone together. Well, Sarah said, straightening her uniform, shall we get to work? We've got a galaxy to explore. Alex grinned, already pulling out his datapad. I've got some ideas for our first mission. There's a cluster of uncharted systems in the Orion Arm that's showing some interesting energy readings. Zixtal's skin pulsed with excitement. The Vexari long-range sensors have detected some unusual gravitational anomalies in that region. Perhaps another opportunity for our combined expertise. As the three of them began to plan, their voices animated with enthusiasm, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they had done so not as conquerors, but as partners, friends, and innovators. The stars beckoned, full of mysteries to unravel and wonders to discover. And humanity, once dismissed as savages, would be at the forefront of this grand adventure, leading the way into a new era of galactic cooperation. The future, vast and bright, as the star-filled sky before them, was theirs to shape together.